Yo, what's up, suitors and suitors, Bartemis thing, and welcome back to another episode of Bushcraft with Bartemis. So a couple of things before we get started. We're back in Pohangina Valley. I just couldn't stay away from this place. And this is actually a place that I explored last time. Now, a few of you have commented to me. I don't mean commented on YouTube, because the stupid bloody YouTube policy around content for kids means you can't have friggin' comments. But anyway, those of you who I know in real life have commented on the fact that my car looked really dirty in the last one, and I'll show you why that is. So you've got to drive on gravel roads to get to places like this, and you get this is just like dirt and dust off the gravel road, and it just accumulates. See how down here, just kind of accumulates, and it just puffs away. This gets everywhere on your car. And I'd actually done a lot of exploring that day that I did the fern walk. Those of you who have played Minecraft with me will know that I tend not to just stick to one place. I tend to go out and explore, and that's kind of what really floats my boat. Now, when I do that in Minecraft, of course, I often get lost, and I require Floffin Gamer or Bilky Wolf 123's help to get me back. So that's why I have this. This is a new school GPS. This is not an old school GPS. Well, actually it is an old school GPS, but it's a new old school GPS. What I mean by new is a phone. So this is, I bought this because I thought it was high time I updated my GPS. In theory, this is supposed to work in the bush. So, yeah, we're going to take it up this track and see. Where are we today? Today we're at a road called Number 1 Line, and they have a series of tracks that you can walk from the end of this road. I'm probably going to do this one here. It goes up quite a way. Apparently they say it takes about 2 hours to walk there. Whether I get all the way there or whether I just kind of think halfway, oh, you know what, that's probably enough, we'll wait and see. But anyway, let's go. What we have here is a much more typical New Zealand bushwalk than the fern walk. You'll see there's no stones or anything down there marking the path, so looking at those markers becomes more important. If you just turn around here, you will see another northern rata. This isn't quite as big as the one on Fern Walk in terms of how wide it is, but I think it might be taller. And these metal things, for those of you that don't know, actually deter possums, because the possums can't get any friction when they're climbing up. They reach the metal bit and they just slide down again. Take a look at this. So we're on quite an incline here, and it's difficult to tell exactly where the path is. So this is why you have the orange markers. So look at this. There you go. Oops. There's an orange marker. And there are 2 more. See, if you didn't have those markers, you wouldn't really be sure where the path went. But now with those, you are. Should really take this opportunity to point out that where we are now is actually the Ruatingi Forest Park. A forest park, we have different levels of conservation areas and protection areas in New Zealand, and the most protected is a national park, and the next level down is a forest park, which is what we're in here. Basically, the rules in a forest park are take only photos, leave only footprints. So don't litter, don't, damage things, just leave things alone, and don't take things away from the park, because what we're trying to do with parks is preserve the environment the way it naturally would have been before humans came along and built cities over the top of it. There's not too many places on the planet these days where you can see the environment like this. So that's why we protect forest parks. So these trees are interesting. I'm not actually sure what they're really called. I've always called them pepper trees. Reason being, See, they've got these leaves with these red outer edges. And if you bite one, you can see there's a little chunk there where I've bitten it just for the hell of it. They're actually quite hot. They almost taste like pepper. So that is why, who would have thought? That's why they're called the pepper tree. Well, I call them the pepper tree anyway. Check this out. This is classic Rohini's right here. So down there you go. Oh yeah, there's the path. Look at what I've got to go up. It's like miles up there. The Rohini's, they're not a particularly forgiving set of ranges. They pretty much hit you straight away with a big climb. Here we go. Look, there's some silver fern right here. So this, I think, is a totara. I'm not entirely sure. I've decided that I'm going to stop here for lunch, even though it's about 11:45, because I haven't had any breakfast or anything today. So I'm going to have lunch with the silver ferns. You know our netball team, they're called the silver ferns. I'm having lunch with them. There they are. There's the silver ferns. I'm glad I had lunch when I did. Geez, this thing's look at it. That there, you can't really get a perspective, but that's level. I was literally crawling up there. I wasn't walking. I was actually crawling. I was using my hands and my feet. Okay, check this out. Here we are at the ground level. Well, I won't say ground level, but at the bottom of this damn thing. And somewhere up there is where we're going to go. And the arrow says, yep, that's where you go. Off you go, Bartemis. I can see daylight up here for the first time in a while. So this is level. Here's the horizon. You can probably just see it there. That's what I just came up. To be honest though, it's not actually that hard. It's because you're scrambling using your hands as well as your feet. It's a different kind of tiring. It's a little bit like climbing up I don't know, not a building. Maybe like climbing up a really steep freaking hill, I don't know. Anyway. Sorry, wow. Okay. That's amazing. I had no idea that was out there. That is incredible. I feel like I'm so high up here. Look at that view. And you know what? We're not even at the top yet. The old school GPS says, sorry, the new school GPS says we're 650 meters above sea level, if you can read that. We started in the car park. Well, actually I set a waypoint just a little after that. And it's this one here. That was at a height of 410 meters, and where we stopped for lunch was 584. So yeah, 651. We've almost climbed 100 meters from lunch. I feel like I did that in about, I don't know, really short space of time. The other thing is this Fitbit, this Bartemis Fitbit Biga. I don't know how accurate it's going to be when I'm scrambling using my hands, because of course it wants, you know, to detect the motion of your hand taking footsteps. But anyway, I'm just going to admire this view for a bit without the video, and then I'm going to carry on up. Here you go. Here's a fully grown version of that pepper tree that I was talking about earlier. See, always look for the red bits around the outside of the leaves. We've just gone through 800 meters. Supposedly it's 4.6 kilometers round trip, which means in theory 2.3 kilometers is about halfway. As you can see, I've done 1.92 approximately, give or take. So we may not have that far to go. In saying that, we're heading into a bit of a steep section, so wish me luck. These are plants. yeah, they're plants. I have no idea what they're called, but you don't see grass like this at ground level very often. If you do, it's in very specific places. The reason why I'm showing it is because as you climb higher, you start to notice different plant species that prefer the climate, because of course as you get higher up, it gets colder, it gets windier, probably actually attracts rain more, and in winter, in this part of the country, it actually snows here. So the plants have to have different characteristics to be able to survive in those kinds of environments. So you get different plants up here to what you do down at the ground level. Holy, okay. So before we showed you the view we've got of the ground, this is the view we've got of other sections of the ranges from this high up. There's this little section up here. You probably can't see it very well. Oh, there it is. That green line down there. There's obviously been a slip there not too long ago, and it's sort of grown over. Wow, I don't know whether you saw that. There was like a dragonfly that just flew in front of the lens. Those pepper trees are everywhere up here now. They're all over the place. I'm gonna sit really still here. They have these hoverflies here. They're really cool. They can hover almost completely stationary in the air. I don't know whether you can make them out. I can just see them on the screen, so hopefully you can. They can fly fast and frantic and stupid like most dumb flies, but they can also hover, kind of like a drone in a way. I just think these things are cool. So, the sign says that it would take me 2 hours to walk here. It's actually taken me 1 hour, so that kind of gives you an idea that these signs that DOC put up, the Department of Conservation, they are very conservative. They're for people who move very slowly, and perhaps want to stop and admire the scenery. But I haven't looked at any of this yet, so I'm going to need to use the censorship button, I think, for a little bit here. Okay, just a minute. That's amazing. That is really amazing. Look how high up we are here. For the record, we're 833 metres above sea level. We've travelled apparently 2.05 kilometres. We've probably done more than that, but that's what the GPS says. So I just want to get a little bit sentimental here. I honestly, to God, had no idea that this was here. There's a plaque here in memory of Cameron O'Brien, died 24/11/1990, aged 18, plane crash in this valley. I know Cameron O'Brien. I knew him. I know his family well. I went to school with his younger brother and his younger sister. I went to Cameron's funeral. I seriously had no idea that this was here. This is... It's funny, isn't it, how the world works out like that. You know, I came up here because I went exploring and I found this track and I thought, oh yeah, I'll go up here one day, and I come up here today and there's a memorial to Cameron. Yep. A little bit about Cameron O'Brien and how he died. He died in a plane crash. There was actually a camp of 7th formers at St. Peter's College, and they were camping in Pohangina Valley. Cameron and his good friend Matthew Hart went, I don't know whether they left from an airstrip or they went back into Palmerston North, but Matthew Hart had a pilot's license, and so he hired a Piper Tomahawk, and Cameron was a passenger, and they flew back. They wanted to fly over the camping group, and they were doing sort of low-level buzzing to try and, you know, show off. Cameron was a passenger, Matthew was the pilot, and I believe they got into a steep turn. They went down into a gully kind of area like these, where you really need to give yourself room as a pilot, and Matthew didn't, and got into a steep turn and stalled, I suspect, and crashed. Cameron was 18 years. He'd just left St. Peter's College, and he was working on the local student radio station, which is called Radio Control. There's another dragonfly. Radio Control these days. In those days it was called Radio Massey, and then it changed to Rad Mass, and now it's Radio Control. So there you go, little story. So now we're on the downhill run. Downhill walking is drastically different to uphill walking. I'm not doing this in a very steep place on purpose. There's a patch that would have been muddy when it was a little bit wetter, but it's drying out now. Because the rule when you're walking down hills, particularly really steep hills, is you always want at least 3 points of contact. So either 2 hands, 1 leg, or 2 feet and 1 hand. You don't want less than that. Less than that, and that's where you could get yourself into trouble. The other thing is, now this is going to sound strange, but you want to use soft, firm ankles. So you're not keeping your ankles rigid, but you're not relaxing them too much. If you keep them too rigid, you'll slip. You want to allow your foot to actually move on the uneven surface. But if you relax too much, you roll your ankle and possibly sprain it. So it's that balancing act. That's why I say soft but firm ankles. So here's what I mean. This is a steep bit here, really steep. And you don't just walk down the path. That's not what you do. There is no path. There's a whole lot of tree roots, and you use them to your advantage. When you're going down the hill, see, if I went straight down there, I'd ass up, which isn't a big problem in itself. When you go down hills, you are going to ass up at times, but you want to try and minimize it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow kind of down this path here, and then go around there. It's going to take me a bit. Now I think this is possibly the steepest, one of the steepest parts. I've come down there, and I've got to go down there. This is going to take me a while. The thing that I should also point out is just do not be in a hurry. Crying out loud, don't rush. There's no prizes for completing these runs in a certain amount of time. It's better to arrive with no injuries, slow, than to arrive in an ambulance or be taken away in an ambulance, right? Or to have to be rescued by the rescue helicopter, or to find that there's no cell phone coverage and you can't ring the rescue helicopter. You know what I'm saying? So just take your time. And we're back down. I wouldn't say we're at the bottom of it. We've still got a long way to go, but I think we're through the worst of it. It's certainly the bottom that you could see. It took me 2 minutes just to go down there. These trees are great. What you do is, you'll hold onto a tree on your way down. For the gaps in between the trees, it doesn't look that big on the video, but it is quite big. You've actually just got to crouch down and just grab the rocks with your hand. I just want to talk a little bit about this. This is called supplejack, and it's a vine that grows all through New Zealand at a bush. It doesn't really have much in the way of foliage. It has a shoot at the end of it, and that's about it. But if I pull this down, it's like it's rooted to the treetops, almost. It's not, but it's as though it is. And this stuff is really good to hang on to when you're descending down steep gradients like I'm doing. This gives you a good example of the timings on dock signs. So down this path here is a giant remu, and it's a minute away. Ready, set, go. So apparently that took a minute. So you can see why. Holy crap, that's really big. I was going to say, you can see why it told me it was going to take me 2 hours to get up when actually it was not. Wow, that must be, how many hundreds of years old must this tree be? I can barely even show you the tops of it, because that's them up there, because it's just so high. The bush canopy is obscuring my view of it. That is amazing. Well, that was interesting. There was a sign saying, this is the Matanganui stream. There was a sign saying, if you want to get to the Matanganui stream, it's a 5-minute walk. Now, based on the times to get to that Rimu, I thought, oh yeah, probably about 3 minutes. Gee, it was an incredibly steep downhill climb. There was even a ladder at one point. Here we are. So I'm actually going to have a quick dip in here. It's not very deep, but I don't care. I'm just going to have a quick dip just to cool off, and I'll get back on my way. I have to show you this. So we're on our way back up from the stream, and there's this here. It's kind of like a handrail. So I'm being the Bartemis handrails biker as I climb up this insanely steep but short climb away from the stream back to the main track. And here we are back at the car park. So let's just go back and take another look at this sign and see what we've done. So yeah, so there's the path that we went on. We did not do the trig track loop, which is the one up here. We did this one here. I could have done the trig track loop, but I didn't. So we went this way, we went down here to the lookout, we came back, and we went down to the Matanganui stream. And do you know, I reckon that section there was probably the hardest on the whole track. So, you know, it says here, this is a short but steep track down to Matanganui stream. Well, no kidding. Gee, that was, honestly, maybe if I'd done it at the beginning of the day, but I did it at the end of the day. Anyway, look, this has been the #1 line track. It's been a really, really good track. I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed the views. The main thing I would say about it is just how steep it is. And yet just how close it is, and also how short it is. It took me only an hour to summit the thing. So, you know, if you want to get yourself accustomed to tramping, hiking, climbing big hills, I'd say give this one a shot. It's not a very well known track. It's not really well signposted. It is on websites. #1 line, look it up. Anyway, this has been Bushcraft with Bartemis. Comment, like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.